Hey everyone, Matt here from Herbal House, and in this video we are taking a much closer look at the latest generation HELIOS 680X. So this new generation is seeing a nice increase over the 640X, its predecessor, to the 680X. Now, we're going to get right into the details of this particular panel and give you some really good reasons on why this is a nice upgrade. Now, of course, being a true HELIOS series piece of equipment, this is a full frame bar style LED. So you can be assured you're going to be getting the most coverage from a particular grow light and of course the most even lighting distribution. So you're not going to see those hot spots directly underneath the panel, and you're going to get really good growth right out to the corners of the grow space. Now, there are a few key changes to how you're going to put this particular panel together. The old generation, it wasn't exactly hard, but you did have to clip in each individual LED bar and install the driver on the back side of those. With this particular panel, it's now just a hinged full fold out frame. So you're simply going to fold the panel out once you remove it from the box, install the locking pins and drop the driver on the back. From there, you are pretty much up and running with this high performance grow light. Now, of course, you might have noticed a very key physical change, which is the LED bars themselves. They've actually increased in size, which has offered a lot more real estate for diodes to be fitted. The previous generation offered about 1,500 diodes. We're now sitting at 2,160 of the Samsung LM301H. So they've got the top diodes of selection, and of course, they've got more of them, which does actually make a huge difference in real world running terms. We will be measuring this panel to give you guys an actual real world performance test, but for the sake of it, it's worth noting that this increase in diodes will have a very expected end result of more efficiency, more lighting output with less heat generated. So a nice improvement across the board. And of course, the diodes on this panel are split between 3000K and 5000K color temperature in that Samsung variety, effectively combining a flower bulb and a veg bulb all in one. They have also included 660 and 730 nanometer specific wavelengths to really bolster the spectrum in some key areas. We'll give you guys a full breakdown on a spectroradiometer test a bit later on. And of course, the 680X stays true to its full frame design, measuring a full 1.15 by 1.15. This is really as large as it gets when it comes to a square framed panel that'll squeeze into the likes of a 1.2 by 1.2 meter if it absolutely has to. But realistically, it's rated to comfortably flower up to a 1.5 by 1.5 meter and well beyond that if you're working with the likes of veg space growing or even your lower leafy greens, which certainly do not demand peak performance from a panel of this caliber. Now, stemming from a commercial design environment and domestically applied, these panels will comfortably work in those harsh environments, and I'll explain why. With those Samsung diodes, they have actually applied a very thin silicon film coating across the entire lot, meaning that they're impervious to those high humidity conditions that we typically see in greenhouses. It keeps the diodes reliable and well insulated from high moisture, and of course any content, whether it be dirt or dust, from approaching any sensitive electrical components. But the improvements don't end there, with 4SEAONS putting a huge amount of development into their driver solution. Sitting snug between the two LED bars, it keeps the panel profile compact and slimline when you do need to squeeze such a large panel into a really tight or busy grow space, which is quite common with many growers who are working with this high power equipment. The efficiencies and improvements don't end just there though. The cables themselves have actually been upgraded to silicon grade cable with copper conductors to ensure we're getting the highest amount of electrical efficiency, with of course waterproof glands to keep everything in a nice, tight and IP rated package. 4SEAONS are so confident with the design and the harshness of tests that they've put this through, it's backed with a full 5-year warranty even with us here at Herbal House. SAA certified, so you can be assured that this panel is going to work commercially and domestically with full insurance coverage. Now, of course, with a panel this powerful at 680 watts, you definitely need to be able to control the output because you're simply not going to need all that power on tap all the time. The dimmer module has migrated to the end rail of this panel, making it a little bit easier to reach and adjust when necessary. There are of course RJ ports, so you can link this panel with a master controller, but we'll give you a little more info on that shortly. The dimmer itself gives you a full set of analog steps to set from 15% right up to 100%, so it's really easy to dial this panel in to exactly what your plants need. Alright, so now that we've given you a full tabletop presentation on the changes over the previous generation and a few of the new key features, we're actually going to take this panel and set it up in the grow tent behind me. Give you guys a real world explanation of how this panel actually performs, some par maps, a little more insight into the spectrum, and just why this panel is so good commercially and domestically. So today's grow tent of choice is of course the AC Infinity 844 that we have behind me. Now this tent measures 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 meters tall. Now the panel, as you'll see, just physically fits in this tent. We definitely wouldn't recommend anything smaller. Realistically, this panel is comfortable for a 1.5 by 1.5 and above, depending on your requirements. So I just want to touch on how easy installation is. That fold out frame really does simplify things, but the 4 included ratchet hangers really allow you to lift and lower this light to any specification that your plants might require, and even tweak the angles if you're not looking for direct downlight. And if you're working with something like a plant wall, very easy to make those adjustments on the fly. So now what we're going to do is give you a full run through on the actual PPFD, or the output intensity that this panel has to offer across various grow spaces, and of course the different heights, to really help give you an understanding on the intensity that this panel delivers. And of course our tool of choice for taking accurate measurements would have to be the Apogee Far Pass sensor. This is our favorite and our go-to when it comes to testing lighting equipment. It's going to give us a full breakdown on the actual output that this offers, including far red. So really nice to see it's encompassing a little more than just the visible spectrum to really help ensure we're measuring the overall output that this panel delivers. Now these PAR maps are going to help give you a really good idea on the kind of intensity that this panel is delivering at those different height levels. Just keep in mind the dimmer is there to help you really dial in that level to suit your plant's requirements, because not every plant is going to require over 1000 UMols of lighting intensity, or PPFD. The main thing to consider is being able to adjust that intensity to suit your plant's growth at every stage, because most people will be working with around 300 to 600 UMols in the earlier growth and pushing well above 600 UMols when they're in a high demand fruiting or flowering application. For a lot of people, when you start crossing that 1000 UMol threshold, CO2 is recommended to make the full use of what these panels have to offer. Now, of course, having a high power grow light is just one part of the puzzle. Being able to measure and understand the spectrum within that grow light is equally as important. Of course, utilizing those Samsung diodes, we do see a very high quality set of light. When we take a measurement here with our spectroradiometer, it gives us a full breakdown on the spectrum within this panel and what it's producing, regardless of its intensity. Okay, so taking a look at the sample of light here we have on our spectroradiometer, you're going to see it is a full spectrum light, of course. Starting in the blue range, you're going to see a very high peak. The 5000K diodes from the Samsung are ensuring this is nice and tall, and what this means for your plants is they're going to stay shorter, stockier and denser, effectively reducing stretch, which is of course a very good trait for indoor grow spaces. Moving across the spectrum range here, we're going to see it start to pick up in the greens and move towards the reds, where we're seeing another very high peak. The 3000K Samsungs and 660 nanometer diodes are bolstering up this area, and that is of course there to ensure a very good fruiting and flowering performance. But just beyond there, you're going to see another small bump or peak in the 730 range. Those diodes that are supplemental on the panel are increasing this area to help enhance the Emerson effect, which is going to ensure, of course, a better fruiting and flowering result. So effectively, you're looking at a seed to harvest spectrum with bolsters in key areas to ensure that this panel is going to perform and provide no matter the plant and no matter the growth stage. So now that we've got an overview on the intensity and quality of light that is produced by this fixture, it's important to be able to adjust it. As mentioned earlier, the analog dimmer situated in the end rail is a really easy access point for adjusting that intensity on the fly, and to be fair, that is what most people are going to be working with. But I will cover the commercial set of features that are included. You'll notice that there's an input and output RJ port next to it. Again, most people won't use this, but this will simply allow you to interconnect with a master controller built by 4SEAONS, or even link in with an AC Infinity control system through an adapter. A really nice set of features to be able to adjust your light remotely, whether it's light scheduling, light intensity, or even features beyond that, depending on the controller you're working with. But the output port there is going to allow you to daisy chain multiple panels beyond the single master panel, effectively meaning you can control a full grow space off a single master controller. A really nice set of commercial features for even a domestic environment. It's really easy to set the system up, simply rotating the dimmer beyond 100% to EXT, simply referencing external control. The panel is now going to be listening for an input from the analog input port. The included cable will allow you to easily integrate it depending on the controller, but as mentioned, if you're working with an AC Infinity system, an adapter is required. The output port is a really easy way to daisy chain further lights down the chain, simply meaning that your single master light will now operate the lights below it. So you're connecting to a single light, which will easily mean you can set a schedule which is going to operate all the lights beyond it. So we hope this video has given you a little more insight into the key benefits and changes this new design HELIOS 680X has to offer. Of course, it's ticking all the boxes in terms of high quality components, reliability, performance, and certification. There is really no compromise when it comes to a high quality grow light of this caliber. Delivering a full 680 watts, it definitely should be at the top of your list if you're looking for a high quality, high performance grow light for a grow space that's 1.2 meters and above. We really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to get in touch with us here at Herbal House. Thanks for watching.